and welcome to another exciting edition of Springboard Hangout. Springboard Hangout, as you know, is a program that we look at the critical questions that are affecting us or that we want to ask and get some answers. My name is Comfort Okran. You do know that in this place, the people that come here have solutions. And based on what the series that we've been traveling along, we're talking about the agribusiness space and all the extensions, the extended agri-TVET value chain is what we've been dealing with. Today, I have another aspect of agribusiness that you'll be so excited not only to hear, but also think about, is there space for me? Therefore, as we watch this, I want you to call someone that you know who has been talking about agribusiness or has been talking about going to agriculture and let him or her have the opportunity to listen. Most importantly, if you are there, can you share where you're watching us from or what question you would like to ask? Because I have Bob Hawkson here and he is a guru who has been through the mill. You know, when they come and they are fresh like that, they don't have anything to talk about. But this one, he's been through the mill, and so when he's talking, I can from experience. We'll be going for a short break. When we return, we'll come back and look at agribusiness in Ghana and how we can profit from the extended value chain that exists there. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back.
Get me York's rent a car. I need a car in 15 minutes. Hi, I'm Jake Morris, and I travel globally. But when I'm in Ghana, York's Rent a Car is my reliable choice for safety and comfort on the road. York's Rent a Car provides comprehensive logistics services to mainly blue chip companies as well as individual clients.
At a time we needed a car rental service, and York's fitted in very well to our standards.
Their services is top notch. Drivers are on time.
It was beautiful to see them behind the wheels, and anytime they pick up a guest, the guests were very, very happy.
Already? Excellent. York's Rent a Car provides services and expertise that include meet and greet services at the airport, car rental, driver personal outsourcing, and vehicle detailing. What's the problem? It's you. I told you. York's Rent a Car delivers world-class service to its customers, having their highest safety and comfort in mind. So watch you. Go of us are open for him. York's Rent a Car runs 24/7 operations where customers can make car reservations and inquiries of our services online and also call out.
Hi there and welcome back to the Springboard Hangout. The Springboard Hangout today, we are privileged to be talking and listening to Bob Hawkson, the CEO of the Tech Shelter company. What does Tech Shelter do? And why should we be talking to them in anything in relation to agribusiness? Oh, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Comfort. Nice seeing you. Thanks for having me here.
It's nice to have you and to think that we have a conversation that we have to pick up. Now, we started the conversation. This are the confessions. We started this conversation in the studio. The people in the studio were like, hey, this one is not going to go well. And I can promise you that after our program, we will continue that conversation. We should. So this is like a pause, you know. So this is a commercial break for our conversation, right? Great to have you. Great to have you. So, Bob, let's find out who can I talk about when I'm asked to talk about you. Where do I start from?
Like a butterfly, many colors.
Yes.
Basically, it's been a journey trying to find myself, and in finding myself, I've dovetailed into a lot of areas. Trying to break away from the jack of all trades to a master of one, and that's led me this far into agribusiness. Yes.
Right. So, what are some of the things that you did in your quest to find out where do I play my stuff? In fact, where do I play Bob?
I like that. Where do I play Bob? I should use that. I think I should be a tagline for something. Where do I play Bob? like it. So yeah, basically, so it started, I mean, from, you know, basic to secondary, doing science in school. Typically, when you seem to know your whereabouts academically, at the time, you have to do science.
Oh, no,
you're put into it, yeah. So we went into it not knowing what it entailed, even understanding why we should do it, but basically because you had the grades for it. So we went into science and, you know, I wanted to do engineering at Tech. I ended up doing, you know, agri-economics at Legon. And doing agri-economics, I ended up doing economics and agribusiness because I didn't like the agri. But it was more of, that was where I found myself. Therefore, I need to do something that would excite me, so let me do the agribusiness economics just to make sure I get excited. Basically because agri was not on the board. So the agriculture was not presented in the way I understand it today. And it was not given to me in a form of, you know, innovation, in the form of a business, in the form of entrepreneurship, in the form of groundbreaking, competitive and comparative advantage to Ghana. But it was more about, this is the backbone to Ghana's economy, and this is what you must know, than what must I do? Where is it leading to? What is next? What can I break it into? What can I leave or, you know, go with and all that? So that journey made me leave the whole agri conversation. So I looked at the economics conversation, went into family business, went into mining, supply chain, vessels, chandling. And I went to teach in a university at a point because I thought I was a little smart. And then, you know, after my postgraduate and all that, and somehow, you realize that you still remember what you did in school, and 4 years have just been wasted. You feel a yearn, and you're hearing something in the news, and you want to see if, you know, you can proffer some solutions in there. So give and take. Started my own business in a lot of things, and went into piggery by accident. Because if you ask me who I am, I'll say I'm one of the best cooks in the world after my big brother, Apostle Joe McDavid. Yes, don't tell my wife I cook at home. So
I have the same situation in my house. I always say that Albert actually wooed me with food.
Oh, really?
When we were in Legon, he would cook and then come and say, "Oh, yes,
Hey, that's really high.
yes." He would say, "So come and let's. I've cooked this, and then I'll go and enjoy the meal." So I knew that.
Okay,
I can be like getting sorted out before we got married. You know, I would appear every now and then. Believe me or not, after marriage, Albert has never cooked again.
That's atrocious.
Exactly. So you guys, those of you who are listening to us, if you are watching us, please don't do that. Okay. Don't do the courtship one. Do the one that is both real, both during and after the courtship.
Amazing. So mine is the inverse. I never cooked before. So some of them didn't know. A best friend of mine says that, why did you never cook for me to see? I would have married you.
Sometimes, you know, it could be a very good game changer, especially for those who have been looking and they are not finding. Maybe cooking could be a game changer for you.
So whilst cooking, I stumbled into meat because I'm very good at marinating. And then that led me to trying to see what the primary production of meat. So piggery, guinea fowl, had a partner, we went into that, we had a meat shop. We started working for even Ikodi Citidia. We're the first people to, you know, run their meat sections and things like that. So supplying to ShopRite, Game, a few other shops. Then that's where the learning came about bar business, partnership, having the word game than the paper game, understanding terms, sharing before the money comes and all that. So we fell off because we got it wrong on that footing. So, you know, I didn't want to come back. I had a depression. I didn't want to see a knife at colors. I didn't want to see a plate. I didn't want to see anything that reminded me of cooking and meat. So, somehow, because of my academic background as well, I was looking for a better way to do it. So that I heard about a program that allows young people to innovate in agriculture, but then you'll be put through more like an apprentice kind of reality. So you'll be pitching, you'll be having capacity building, you'll be taught partnerships and things like that. I was like, that's good. Amos, my friend Amos now, God bless him wherever he is, said that, guy, you fit this. I mean, you did agri-econs, you are very innovative, you've done something in business, agribusiness, so go up for it. So I went for it and it was life-changing about how to find somebody totally new, somebody you don't know, and have a common goal, a common vision, find the problem in the agricultural value chain, pick it and decide to disrupt it, cause a change, and add value and sell the value and find people who need that value. So that's how we came into the whole greenhouse technology.
Right, so you let the secret out of the bag that we are looking at greenhouse technology today. So then I love that journey, the travel that you've taken us through. That you didn't arrive at building greenhouses out of the blue. You went through things, and out of that you decided that this is where I'm going to focus my dream, and this is where I'm going to play my role. Right. So so help us. What exactly do you do at Tech
Shelter? So Tech Shelter primarily is a technology in shelters. And what are these shelters? These shelters are greenhouse shelters. So greenhouses are any structure where you condition the environmental conditions in the structure to produce crops. So even in this room, I can convert this room into an orchard, into a vineyard if I get the right temperature, the right humidity, the right air, the right light, irrigation and things like that. So the whole idea was, why are we always having to wait for trucks to arrive in Accra before we get produce? Can I do it at my backyard? Why are backyard farms suffering? Why are school farms no longer there? When I was to my parents, we used to have a school garden. Why are all these things not there? Is it because of converting bare land into concrete and apartments? So when I get any small space, what can I do with it? So can we find technology that makes this exciting? Because the greenhouse technology was already in existence before we showed up at Tech Shelter. But ours was, how do we make it more exciting? How do we make it more fair? How do we make it more sexy if we have to? So can we find technology that would give it more efficiency? So we found Internet of Things, where a gadget and another gadget could communicate without having to interact physically. So using internet, you could actually turn off, the same way you use a remote to turn off the air conditioning in this room, I can use my phone to turn on an air condition. The same way I can use a phone to turn on an air condition, I can use a phone to water my plants in my greenhouse. So the whole idea was, let's make it more exciting so that as you're sitting here and you get an alert on your phone, your plants haven't been watered, you don't have to run to your farm. You can do that right here with your phone. If your room is too warm and the plants are suffering, you get an alert on your phone that the room has exceeded its tolerance limits. So engage fans or engage misters to cool the room. So how do we make agriculture more efficient so that the farmer can get the exact yield, working towards food security, availability, and affordability? So technology and agriculture, we found greenhouse as a quick entry. Why? Because technology already exists, but the thing with farming and agribusiness is that majority of the farmers cannot adopt or afford. So in the instance, who do we think can afford the technology we are offering? Let's find a place where these farmers cannot afford to lose money, cannot afford to lose time, and are willing to exchange money for value. Therefore, we said, let's create this. Now, whilst doing that, it led us to all the low-hanging fruits and then the summit fruits in the whole value chain. Greenhouses can be used for snails, greenhouses can be used for mushrooms, greenhouses can be used for beekeeping, and greenhouses can be used for so many things beyond just growing vegetables and fruits.
I love the whole ecology of greenhouses that we just built over here, including turning the studio into a farm. So when we turn it into the studio, what happens to the farm? What happens to the studio?
We'll have the studio. So on our farm, we want to do fashion shows in our greenhouses. So we can have this thing in the greenhouse as well. So everything is possible.
I like that one. But when our plants complain when we bring our studio lights into
they like the lights already.
They like the lights already. Okay. So you right. Okay. So I saw some pictures as we were talking about the greenhouse. What makes a greenhouse quote unquote succeed?
So it's interesting because if you go across Ghana, the experiences of farmers in greenhouse vary across board. There are those whose fingers have been bitten. There's those who have succeeded. There are those who are on their third trimester or fourth trimester in greenhouse farming, going over and over again because it's a technology. The whole structure itself is a technology, and it was not a technology meant directly for our part of the world. It was supposed to help, the temperate regions when they have their, bad weather conditions to still produce crops. Trapping air, heat, and things in the room. But it was brought here because of scarcity of land, being able to irrigate all year round. So we don't have to wait for one cycle rainfall. We can still irrigate at all times. So the whole thing is, one, the structure of a greenhouse can defeat its purpose if you don't get the right structure, if you don't get the right skill, because it's very, there are protocols to it which you have to follow, and you may not know it all. You can start today with only 20% knowledge, and as you go by the day, you'll be increasing your knowledge by experience, so you have to go for training. So you have to learn the skill and share the information, and you do a lot of cross-referencing to get it right. And the market for the produce. I mean, when you're done and you're producing, where do you send the produce to? You must find regular markets who will be picking produce from you, because in this kind of agriculture, you'll be harvesting every week when you're harvesting. I mean, if you're doing tomatoes, you'll be having for 3 months continuously. If you're doing cucumbers, you could be harvesting for 1 month continuously, every week, sometimes 3 to twice in a week. Therefore, if you've not figured out the marketing, options as to offtake, you may grow and you may not know who to sell to or who will give you the right price for such high value product. Because the point is, for instance, if I bring my tomato and I put it on the table here, we can leave and come back after 3 weeks and the tomato will still be in the same shape because of the tendering that's been given in these rooms where we grow these crops.
Wow. I used to because one of the things that sometimes is very upsetting is that you go and get you go to Agribusiness, go and buy your tomatoes, and then you bring it home and the tomato looks good, but within 3 days, if you don't put it in the fridge, the
black flies just come swarming around it. Yeah,
it's very annoying.
Yeah. And there's a reason to it.
Why?
So basically, when we grow crops outside, the plant's exposed to everything. The same things we encounter, the pressure in the atmosphere, the wind force, the pests and insects in the atmosphere, even sometimes we the human beings are pests, the waters which are not clean, that are poisoned with our own activities, the current one ongoing and things like that. So the plant goes through a lot of things. So before the fruit itself bears, it has gone through all these struggles. Now, farmers, some are knowledgeable, some don't have a lot of information. Therefore, some apply some of the chemicals wrongly. There's something called the post-harvest interval, where after applying a certain, protective chemical, you're supposed to wait till you harvest. And when that time has not elapsed and you harvest, then there's a chemical residue in the crop. Now, this crop is plucked and put on your table. The chemical in the crop is not in its right place. A natural entity harboring an inorganic entity. There's going to be a reaction. The walls of the fruit will break. The fruit will not be in its natural condition. So definitely when it's there, it's reacting. There's a fishing effect. It's a science. There's a fishing effect, and by the time you realize the walls of your tomato is breaking, and there's a small hole secreting some small water, and the flies will smell that and they'll start finding it and hovering. But the inverse here in the greenhouse is that protocols are strict and must be followed. Now, when you follow these protocols, when you pluck a fruit from the greenhouse, the difference is so clear.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that everybody gets it right. So long as you follow the protocols and you're trained and you go over it, even if you get it wrong and you find the right way it is done, you will succeed.
Well, I mean, Tech Shelter is this. So truth be told, I met Bob in the greenhouse and he rapped to me bad. And so I was going. I think that is the way you hear me talking about farming. You realize that I'm a farmer at heart, even though I haven't started farming. So I was going to go into farming, doing the greenhouse farming. He rapped me bad. So, but somehow we never really
took it off.
Never took off. So I'm not one of his clients. I would have been one of his clients, but I'm not one of his clients. But when you were talking about the greenhouse and how the things are controlled and what there are protocols and how you need to follow protocols. You kept on saying if the protocols are followed. So I can imagine
the reverse.
The reverse may happen, or some insect may find its way into. What happens if something like that occurs where the protocols are not followed, or something comes into the greenhouse and because it's such an enclosed space, it does damage?
Just like when a child enters into a room filled with candy. I mean, I said no. So basically, when a moth or a whitefly enters a room and finds these nice fruits and nice leaves, definitely it will have a feast. So
seriously,
just even opening the door and one white fly finding its way in, it can expend your entire yield. So protocols are so tight and so rigid. That's why it makes it so efficient at the end of the day, because if you follow these things. Now, that does not mean that there are no challenges in the greenhouse, because there are a number of people who have given up, the number of who have regretted going to greenhouse. We've had our own share of experience, but going through the pain, understanding what caused it is the panacea, because finding that alone, you can actually sell that information.
Exactly, not as you're there.
Exactly. And then going through it till you see, and we've had our own share of,
So do share some of the challenges that you've had in that space.
I mean, for majority of agriculture, the commodities, the grains, the legumes, the vegetables, when we go show you the projections, you're wondering why I've not done this, during Nkrumah's days, right? But the reality on the ground has its way of also schooling you.
Okay.
And that's and that's why sometimes people find agriculture as a very, unfriendly or very too risky, because we don't have the patience for it. Because we grew up seeing kontomire just come out there, cocoyam just erupt, plantain just here. So it's not anything that I must, and I always say that don't start agribusiness when you think you're okay in your old age. Start early, because there's a journey to go. There's a learning curve. So disease infestation, the greenhouse is supposed to provide some form of barrier. That does not mean that it's foolproof.
Okay.
So when your protocols fail, how you open your doors, how you clean your hygiene, your sanitation, some insects could penetrate, some insects could find its way. Sometimes it could even be in the seed. We found places where eggs are found in seeds, and you think you have all your protocols, but you're planting something, and you're actually planting your own problems. So the tightness is so important as you go along. And 2020, 2021, we had our fair share of a very terrible tuta absoluta pest that is a leaf miner, and you wake up, your plants are all green, and by the time you realize there are lines on your plants, which means something is creeping on your leaves. And you find some rot portions on your fruits, and you are dealing with a moth, a larva, and then an egg at the same time at different generations. You don't know whether you should spray chemicals to kill the moth, or you should put some contact to avoid something from going inside, or should you drench to kill the eggs? Now, some of these things, some of us have been to Kenya, Israel to learn, but you don't get to know them until you encounter them.
Yeah.
So encountering them brings its own challenges, has its own pros and cons. And if you're not ready to go through the mill, you may want to go and find something else to do.
Yeah.
So for us, it's taken us like 1.5 years to do proper research. There was a point where a PhD student was even put into one of our researchers just to come up with a dissertation, with a thesis, because the findings is very informative and the public should know. So having Kabi, having PPRSD, having Profighter from Holland all come to do various researches, and whilst they're doing their researches, we're also doing a parallel research, because we are applying what we do with what they are doing and seeing the X and the O to see how it works. So if you don't have patient capital, and for that, my heart goes to all people who are with us, our partners, our investors, who painfully have to wait for cycles on cycles for you to research and get back to your feet. And that has been one of the most exciting parts for me. Many people I can mention their name, from the Mensahs to the Ampofos to great people who understand agribusiness, the risk therein, and giving young people time to bend their fingers, learn, and then get it right. So if you don't have the patience and patient capital again to go through the mill, you will not see the summit. Yes.
Patient capital to go through the mill so that you can see the summit. Now, the way you mention patient capital, it means that if I'm coming near the greenhouse, it'd be like I have to prepare myself.
You should.
How prepared should I be? Give us some rough
numbers. Yeah. Most of the structures are imported. Even if you're doing it here, yes, because economies of scale works in here. If you're doing one structure here, you go buy some metals, you fabricate. Somebody is in China is doing 100 of that. So an import that here is cheaper than the person just doing 1 or 2 or 3 or 5.
Really?
Because
so are you telling me the imported one is cheaper than the...
At the end of the day, it gets cheaper because of the numbers.
Okay.
So you may not have a lot of people buying off you at a go here. So when you fabricate and put down, nobody's buying, it becomes a problem. But somebody's happy to import and bring down because probably he's going to get the cost half than what you're doing in here. So majority of the shops are expensive. You must spend nothing less than $7,000 to $20,000 or $30,000 getting different size of greenhouses. So it's not easy for people to even begin. Therefore, it takes people who understand what are we doing, understand the projections, understand the returns, and understand that, okay, within 3.5 years I'll be breaking even, or 4 years I'll be breaking, or 5 years I'll be breaking even. Therefore, that's where the patient capital comes in. Okay. And I also need to add the risk and mitigation factors that are involved. And that's where we come in today saying that the conversation about greenhouse and agribusiness should not be given as soon as you do this, you get this, and this, you get this. We've all been there before, but over time, you realize that the risk part, I mean, this is when we're doing business plans, people don't even know how to add risk management to it. The risk part must be factored properly. And there's no insurance for greenhouse farming because how many greenhouses are there in Ghana in the first place? For us to have a pool of people to draw a policy or a premium around it. Other than that, for you alone, insuring your greenhouse, you're paying something that...
But it's a business. Yeah. So they should be able to insure.
Yeah, we hope so. We're working towards it. We've been advocating for it. We've met with GAIC, we've met with the Brokers Association, but we've not made gains with it. So the advice moving forward is understand what you're going into, find the skill, and the skill is the reason why we started our training center, which is registered with TVET.
Okay, fantastic.
Because our experiences taught us that there were things we wish we knew from day one. And we've learned it over time, but we wasted time.
Yeah.
So when you are coming in, we can't afford for you to go through 3 years learning the ropes, the mistakes. We should be able to give you a full throttle of expectations, assurances, married with expertise, so that we can say 50% to 70% you get it right.
So you're watching us today and you are into, you're thinking about where do I play? And you have the funds and you want something to invest it into. Or you have the energy, but you don't know where to direct it to. At least you had 2 things that I think you could start thinking about how do I play in there. First, that there is an opportunity, greenhouses that you could invest into. These greenhouses can be used for different things, different products and different things that you may want to do. Additionally, if you want the skill, they have a skill center where they can train you, where they can give you the opportunity to learn how to operate in such environments, so that you can provide the labor that is needed for such. It's not too high tech, but you need the information, the right information to operate well. So, Bob, one quick question that I want to ask you: in this case, if someone is sitting there and saying that, okay, I have the money, but I don't have the people because I don't have the time to go to the farm every day to make sure that I've put in the records, even though I have the phone to remind me that you need to water the plants or whatever. I don't have the time to do that. Do you have some process or some way of helping me so that I can realize my dream of having an investment? Growing my crops the way I want it, that I can actually boast that I have organic food, fully organic food to eat.
That's right.
But or to sell to the market.
Exactly, to eat or to sell.
To eat or to sell. And then do you have somebody to help in this space? So
yes, excellent question. Because at the end of the day, that's where sometimes we fall short of. It has to be you all the time. Yeah. And even though we are dissuading absentee farming, we want you to be involved to a point that allows you to. We started our training center because initially we were not finding skilled persons. And the people we train in the beginning, sometimes you train people, become masters, they leave. And when they leave, you'll be wondering, where can I get somebody? You have to go through the whole cycle again. So we said that, let's have a training center where we find the youth And the criteria of qualification is just passion.
That's all.
That's passion. So, because agriculture itself will teach you life. Because if you've not given birth before, agriculture will teach you how birthing looks like. If you're proud, it will humble you. If you have projections, it will teach you data. So we just need to first find passion. Okay. And we would learn the Uncle Bo would say, just know how to sing, I'll teach you acting. So passion is very important. Now, over the period since 2018, we've trained more than 300 people.
Okay.
Now, the training of 300 people is not just in greenhouses across board, because I said the greenhouse structure can be used for a number of things.
Okay.
For snails, for mushrooms, for beekeeping, for vegetables, and some fruits. So what we do is we run a 3-month training program at our place. So check shelter, just on our social media platform, check shelter for TA, and find our training modules. And the training is both agribusiness, greenhouse farming, open field farming, and mushroom. Oh. So that you could actually send your children when they're on vacation to come and learn. Okay. You can actually send a nephew who's bothering you for a job, go and learn a skill. Okay. So, is it just being a mechanic or being a tailor, being a seamstress? Go learn a skill in agribusiness. Okay. So that even when you're a mechanic, or you can still have another backyard business at home. So anybody can come, all ages, 3 months. Sometimes it's flexible. If you don't want to sleep, you can be going and coming. We do both in Accra and Aburi. So that training option is there for somebody. And again, if you don't have somebody to bring, our training center, when we graduate, our best students, we send them for internships. We find jobs for them. So somebody will say, look, I have the money, I don't have time, I don't have somebody, just give me somebody to come and work at my place, and we provide that service as well.
Fantastic. I mean, we're going for a quick break. When we return, I will come to you on social media and find out what you're telling us, and then we'll continue the questions. And if you have any questions, kindly ask Bob. He's more than willing to help us out here. Right. We're talking to Bob Corsa of Tech Shelter, who is into agribusiness, and his specialization is in greenhouse farming and setting up and helping you realize those dreams. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Right.
Get me York's rent a car. I need a car in 15 minutes. Hi, I'm Jake Morris, and I travel globally. But when I'm in Ghana, York's Rent a Car is my reliable choice for safety and comfort on the road.
York's Rent a Car provides comprehensive logistics services to mainly blue chip companies as well as individual clients.
At the time, we needed a car rental service, and York's fitted in very well per our standards.
Their services is top-notch. Drivers are on time.
It was beautiful to see them behind the wheels. And anytime they pick up a guest, the guests were very, very happy.
Already? Excellent. York's Rent a Car provides services and expertise that include meet and greet services at the airport, car rental, driver personal outsourcing, and vehicle detailing.
What's the problem? It's you. I told you. York's Rent a Car delivers world-class service to its customers, having their highest safety and comfort in mind. So watch you. The of us are open for him.
York's Rent a Car runs 24/7 operations where customers can make car reservations and inquiries of our services online and also call our hotline.
And welcome back to the Springboard Hangout. As you know, today we are hanging out with Bob Corsa. He's the CEO of Tech Shelter, who are into greenhouse farming as well as do we call it production?
It's production, consultancy, all that.
Oh, and all that. Okay, right. So when we're leaving, we're going on a course in greenhouse farming. And Bob, I was just asking you during the break, is it expensive to come for your course, the 3-month course that you run?
It's actually not expensive. Seeing what we had to pay to know what we know today is very affordable.
Yeah.
Bottom line is that you're given accommodation, you're asked for a token to cater for your tuition and things like that. And they can work around. Some people can't even do the 3 months. Somebody wants to do a 1 month. We can do a crash course for the person. But we always say that then you have to practice it. So 3 months, and
and it comes with accommodation as well. And of course, it comes with the opportunity to experiment on somebody's plants.
Yes. That is actually the cost. on somebody's flat.
On somebody's flat.
I know.
We pray that there are no accidents.
Yeah.
Right. So Bob, actually, some people are let me just do shout out to Kweku Brown, who says hi, and Ohima Nyansa. Wow, I like your name. Welcome, and Audrey, welcome, and Yawa Santinyaku, welcome as well to watching us, and Emmanuel Ashong, and Mamia Ba Adoma Ashong. You also say hi, and we have Peace Ekuma and Justice Boduchi, and Alex Nyameche Ochri. Thanks for joining us and for making our program so successful. Kofi Anoche from Tamale says, fantastic conversation. I'm learning about greenhouse farming. Do you have greenhouse farming in Tamale? I mean, at least have you built it in there?
Yes. We've actually sent that technology in there. That means I have a beautiful story for you.
What? Tell us.
So you know yams.
Yes.
We know yam as having the corn, the head, cutting it into sets and making mounds. Yes, and then planting. Yes, same thing. So the technology now is that you only need one, and you know when the yam is there, it starts growing, sprouting, growing on the head.
Yeah.
So you develop that vine very long. You cut it at the nodes, and for just one vine, you could get about 100 to whatever number of yams from it. You just plant those cuts from the nodes, from the stem. So, and we do it in greenhouses in Tamale. So you can go on YouTube and watch Hikma, and he uses our automation, our farms to cool the room, and technology to cool the room for greenhouses in up north. Yeah. So look, we don't have time. We should do another series of, if we start talking about the business opportunities, and then adding all the risk, for me, where I am now, I teach both left and right. I don't just say,
haven't learned very well.
Yes.
Now you've been schooled, so you don't do just the right and it's all good. But you do both left and right. Go on.
The how to multiply yam sets with greenhouses, a whole conversation altogether. Alajin, Hikma Farms, Hikma. Watch the video on YouTube and you'll be amazed. It's developed by CSIR, and that's another thing. There's a lot of information.
Yes.
If you watch how food prices and things are going on, for us in the greenhouse space, it's an advantage for us because we don't wait for some rain-fed form of agriculture. We are growing all year round.
Okay.
That's why we advocate that greenhouses are good for urban farming, small space farming, all year round cultivation, working towards food security, going away from cutlass and whole, farming in a more structured and protocoled environment, attractive for both young women and old. The conversation would move not only to the benefits of greenhouse, but what is it for?
Okay.
If you're able to understand what it is for, it makes economic sense.
Okay. So what is it for? I like to have the conversation. What is it for?
Limited space.
Okay.
If you have a small space and you want to grow crops vertically than horizontally, you go in for greenhouse.
Okay.
If you want to grow crops, some crops, all year round without waiting or relying on rainfall, you can use very little water for precision farming, you go for greenhouse farming. For growing some of the staples in Ghana that we have to import, there was an article saying that Ghana imports $400 million of tomatoes from Burkina. Whether it's true or not, we import thousands of tons of tomatoes from Burkina. If you stand on the Paga Road, at every 3 or 4 hours, you see either 10 trucks with tomato coming to Ghana or 10 trucks empty leaving Ghana to go and bring tomatoes. So if Burkina Faso is giving us this much tomatoes, why can't we grow it here? So we're saying that greenhouse farming gives you the opportunity to grow tomatoes all year round. At the same time, if you want to be able to grow crops and measure everything you're doing, the input and the output, whereby
so you can tell exactly.
Bags 10. No. You're measuring your inputs, you're measuring your outputs. You can make right estimates, all things be equal. It's a good place to do it. Entry is expensive because of the structural cost.
Okay.
If you're able to go over that capital expenditure and get a structure, and not just one structure, because when you only have a small unit like 100 square meter, with enough, greenhouse structure and square meter or acreage, you'll be able to see its benefits over a shorter period than a small structure, over the same period. But let me the final thing. To help you and I, everybody, we also develop small-sized greenhouses for homesteads and easy entry persons, where you can, with 20,000, 30,000, you can easily get a greenhouse and its full accompaniment.
Right. So, Bob, tell me this. Ashley from Kaswa, and is kind of bouncing off of what you just finished. That this is really, she says that this is really eye-opener. Wow. So, Sir Bob, what are the materials used for a greenhouse?
Good.
So it's kind of bouncing right off
structure
what,
conversation.
Yeah.
So it comes back to where the greenhouse is being positioned. If the greenhouse is in Europe, it's in Spain, it's in America.
No, we're talking about
Yes,
Ghana.
then they go for a glass house. When they hear the word greenhouse and the whites come to Ghana, they see nets and rubber. They were like, that is not a greenhouse. So based on the ecology or the environment, your structural materials come into being. So over here in Ghana, we use rubber nets and mesh on the sides.
Okay.
The rubber net on the top, just to prevent water from coming to the roof. And then the mesh to allow cross ventilation and sometimes ventilation in the roof on the sides. So we use poly nets and poly roofs for our greenhouses.
And then you have the piping for the what do you call it? The feeding.
Everything, the irrigation comes in through tubes and things like that. And don't forget that we have screen houses, we have net houses, we have shade houses, which are all forms of greenhouses, because the greenhouse effect is a whole understanding, trapping heat, trapping certain conditions for plants to grow in a room.
Oh.
So when you say greenhouse, you are just simulating the greenhouse effect, whereby the sun shines directly to the earth, it goes through the ozone layer, it hits the earth, it comes as light, radiation and heat, it bounces back, it hits the ozone layer, and there's that cross flow all through the period. But because the ozone layer has been depleted by greenhouse gases, there's a hole, so it goes, it escapes. So the greenhouse effect is that condition where light is bouncing up and down. So we use a white covering to trap light, to bounce light up and down, trapping heat, and the same condition follows.
Okay. So here, I mean, your questions are flowing in quick and fast. Emmanuel from Kofredua says that, can Bob list some of the crops you can grow in a greenhouse?
So again, you grow specific to your markets.
Okay.
So you see how when it came to structure, I said specific to your environment, ecology.
Yeah.
So I always go back to that. I don't just go there and say, oh, greenhouse, you can grow A, B, C. So to Ghana, like you said, to our locality.
To Ghana, yeah.
So the first is the chief, which is tomatoes, because it's a staple. Now, tomato, if you don't buy it fresh, you can process it. You can actually blend it and keep it in your freezer and use it at the right time. Like my siblings come and take my frozen tomatoes. So
I'll be coming to do my harvesting from your fridge.
You know, when tomatoes are scarce in Ghana, our friends will come and say, Charlie, Ebo freezer. Because I always have frozen tomatoes and I give it out like that. Yeah, so tomatoes all year round. Cucumbers, both the local ones we know and the small ones, the English or the Lebanese or the Mediterranean cucumbers. Okay. You can also grow chilies and the bell peppers, the different colors.
I beg you, the chilies, no shit. That's what I said. Anything they are shit on.
Yes, the chilies, the habaneros, the pacos.
Exactly.
The different types of pacos, the different colors, yellow, green, red. Then the bell peppers, those what we call green pepper, sweet pepper, the orange, the red, and the yellow. You can actually grow strawberries in greenhouses. You can actually.
In Ghana?
Yes, in Ghana. Yes, we've done that. You can grow strawberries in greenhouses. You can even grow some melons, the small country, the small melons. You can also grow them in greenhouses. So but not the huge melons, the small ones that can creep. Okay. So the bottom line is that the choice of crop, one, is dependent on the market or what you're consuming. Yeah. So if you're growing them to eat, for instance, I can grow carrots in the greenhouse because I'm eating it. But I will not grow carrots in the greenhouse for commercial purposes. Because I want crops that take advantage of the vertical orientation. So I want a crop that can creep and climb. Okay. So I can stick it and it can grow as far as the roof. And I'll be harvesting along the tail, drop it and it will still be harvesting. But if I grow carrots, which is a stunted crop, it's more like a shrub vegetable. Okay. You just have the roots being harvested, an onion, cabbage, just one. So I want to grow the shade night family crops, the cucumbers, the tomatoes, and some peppers, because they can creep and they can harvest at every cluster going up and down. And don't forget, the tomatoes we know that we grow on the field, those are the determining. They can grow as far as our knees.
Yeah.
But the tomatoes we grow in greenhouses go as far. I'm 6'2". It goes above me. It goes all the way to the roof, and it comes down because you can actually harvest, like I said, 3 to 4 months long.
3 to 4 months long, every single day.
Yes.
Wow. Bob, so here we are. Alex Namiche is asking, how can we get in touch with you? Because you've told something that they want what you have.
Yes. So come prepared. Come with an open mind. Come not because somebody's cajoling you that is the way to go. Come because you want to learn. There are people who come to learn, just understand what it is because they want to apply it in other businesses. Somebody wants to grow carrots at home but came to learn the greenhouse way so they can follow the protocols we use in greenhouse for his open field farming. So if you want to meet us, Tech Shelter, TECHSHELTA. It's TA, not TER. So okay. Tech Shelter, TA. All social media platforms. There's a number as well, 055 2570 701. 055-2570-701, which you can call. It's a hotline, so you can call it.
I see. The thing, the tech shelter is sheltering things and bringing all things to bear. Yes. Well, we have another question from Promise. Promise is one of my sweethearts.
Wow.
Promise.
I'm jealous.
More than comfort. I'm really enjoying this conversation. Keep it up. Yeah, Promise. And Promise, it has, interestingly, is an electrical, he learned about electrical engineering or went to learn about how to do electrician.
The whole electricity thing.
Yeah, the whole electricity thing. And he has built his own hatchery.
Nice.
He built the incubator, nice. and uses knowledge. Yeah. So he's selling the incubator and also using it to hatch eggs to start a poultry farm.
Wonderful.
So he's a young man who has a lot of promise more.
Wonderful.
He has a young man who has a lot
of promise, and it's called. Tell the boss today you for the rap or something. the boss today the first line and this one.
Right. So one of the things that you said earlier is the fact that we have different types of greenhouses for different. And then I also heard you say that you have it in Tamale. So I'm just asking that how difficult. I know we have a greenhouse effect, but if I think of the Tamale weather,
yes.
I mean, when we used to do springboard and go all year round and we go there, in January when we used to go there, it was so cold in the night, almost like we were in winter, and then during the day it's so placid and hot.
It has the two extremes.
How do you build a greenhouse differently from in that kind of place than the one that you built here, or is just the same because they have the same technology, so they function the same? I mean,
so good. So that's it. So that's why I keep going back to the environment determines the structure.
Okay.
So if we're going to a place where they have the two extremes, very high temperatures and very low temperatures at different times of the day and at different times in the year, you may not have the same structure with somebody like we do in a brewery.
Yes,
you
exactly.
Get it? Because we may be competing wrongly with us.
Exactly.
So your structure must have more ventilation. It must have more aeration. It must give room for the warm air to escape quickly.
Yes.
Than stagnating the room and causing flower abortion. Therefore, you'll be losing some of your yield. At the same time, if you cannot just rely on the normal environmental forces to manage the conditions in the room, you may have to augment with some gadgets.
Okay.
So you have to bring in secondary augmentation, fans, wet beds, some misting, some foggers to drop the temperature when it's high, and some humidifiers to also, when the temperature is too, low, to also regulate it. So gadgets are, inculcated, and that's where our technology came in. That these gadgets, how do I use them when it's raining and I can't go and turn on the fan? One of my worker is telling me that, boss, I have to go for a funeral, so I can't be there. My mother says I should come home, so I'm going. Okay, your mother says go home. Okay, go. I can water my crops from my phone. I can turn on the fans from my phone. I can turn on the humidifiers from my phone. So give me the power to be able to manage your outcomes than relying on human attitude and effort. So in the north, you can actually regulate it. So first, understand where your structure is going to. Even along the coast, because of reusing metals, your hinges and your nuts and your joints could also rust. So it's just not the north. Even along the coast, the salinity can also affect your structure. So you are advised when you come to us what to do, what to grow, and who to grow for.
What to do, what to grow, and who to grow for. Thank you. Now, we have Melissa from Kofredwa who is asking, what are the advantages of greenhouse crops over traditional ones?
So, simple. Now, I'll be speaking to the crops that can be grown in greenhouse and the crops that can also be grown outside the greenhouse. Because I'll not do maize in a greenhouse. I'll not grow mangoes in a greenhouse.
Okay.
So the crops I mentioned, tomatoes, cucumbers, the peppers and all that, it comes back to why greenhouse. If you have limited space and you cannot do vast cropping, now maybe another day we'll have competition on commodities, the legumes, because I said I grow sorghum, maize and all those things. So I understand the two. Currently with my partners, I'll not do anything below 100 acres if I'm growing horizontally. If somebody says 100 acres, no go farming. Because for proper mechanized farming, it's a waste of time looking at the numbers in the economies of scale to be doing 20, 30 acres. It's not smart. So my partners, they do 600 acres and above, all the way to 2,500 acres up north. So if my space is limited and I'm coming to compete with somebody doing sorghum and maize, 1,000 acres, 100 acres, doesn't make sense. So I rather look at going vertically. So that I have a small space. You go that far, I'll go this far.
Yeah.
Apartment against conventional detached houses. So crops that can grow vertically gives you yield over a small space. I can grow with irrigation all year round. I don't have to wait for rainfall. That is the beauty. I can grow all year round with irrigation and I protect my crops. There's a little barrier. I manage the ones that break in. That gives an advantage.
Amma from Hatchery is saying, Bob, what is the average cost of building a greenhouse, for example, 1 acre? So, I mean, this is like the person says that I have just 1 acre of land.
Yes.
How much are we looking at?
Yes. So, don't even look at an acre, look at a plot.
Okay, a plot. So a plot is like
70 by 100, 100 by 100. So
70 by 100.
Yeah, so you see people say, we the farmers, we do 100 go behind the farm. So 70 by 100, right? Now, with a 150 square meter greenhouse, you can put 3 to 4 on a plot of land.
Okay.
So when you came to our greenhouse, the pictures you show,
when
they see
let's see our pictures,
our
please.
greenhouses, that greenhouse, 3 to 4 can fit a plot of land.
3 to 4 can
fit a plot. Okay. So if you are doing an acre, which is 4 plots in an acre,
it
is 3 to 4 times 4.
Okay.
Now, for each structure, before the dollar became very excited these past, yes. So the ladies are in a 135 square meter greenhouse. This is a 135 or 150 square meter. So this structure can do 4 can go on a plot of land, or 3 can do a plot of land based on the 70 by 100 or 100 by 100.
And you're saying that before the dollar became happy?
Yeah, it became happy. You could get a greenhouse between $7,000 to $9,000 based on the size. And somebody will say, why are you saying dollars? Because, like I said, majority of the structures are imported. So even if I quote in cities, it will be today's price. But when you are ready tomorrow, you'll be found wanting.
No, but technically nowadays the dollar is reducing, so we'll quote in cities.
That's a very good prophetic, it should reduce. It has to reduce.
It has to reduce, otherwise it will be a very serious
So, I mean, 2 months ago, with 70,000 cedis, you could get that full structure with everything in it, everything. The growing buckets, because in greenhouses, we don't only grow on the floor, on the ground. So it can grow on the ground. It can also grow with coconut husk.
Yeah.
So having all those things, the irrigation, the installation, 3 months ago was 70,000, but today it could be 100,000, it could be 120.
I see. And then also one thing that and there you can see, you remember he talked about vertical. You can see the vertical plants going on there. So I don't want to stop, but it seems I have to stop. So, Bob, if you are leaving us, can you give us three ideas that you can leave us with, and then don't forget to mention your number again in case somebody would like to get in touch with you to get.
So such a rare opportunity. I like to send some message across. Agribusiness needs heroes. When we're growing up, we heard of the Kwabena Darkons. You hear of the combined farms. You hear of, even in recent times, you have blue skies. You know, it gives you the hope that it can be done. That people are doing it, commercially, and it can be done. I'm happy with what you're doing because you're as well as we are sharing information, it's also shedding light to what I do. So Ghana must be intentional from the north to the south about agribusiness because it is both competitive and comparative for us. Mm-hmm. Food can be grown from the north to the south. Therefore, some of us have started going to, the basic schools, primary schools, trying to get them to understand that it's not only a cutlass in the hole, but it's also innovation and technology. So agribusiness should not be given that picture where it looks like a pensioner's dream. That's why you see me in my aura doing it, because it's not a pensioner's dream. It's what I want to do today.
Actually, it's one of the things that we are doing now is to say that the agribusiness is not for pensioners, it's for young people. So continue. Second advice, or idea that you want to leave with us.
So start small and build gradually, because you have to learn the ropes. Anybody who comes to tell you you can make X, Y, Z, and ask the salient questions. Now ask the person, what if it goes south? Get to understand it proper. And find the right people to speak to. So, right people to speak to means that you need mentors in agribusiness. I have a mentor who watches me to fail and watches me to succeed and teaches me the ropes. So, find mentors. Let's help create heroes in agribusiness. At the same time, let's get it right.
Find mentors. Let's find people who would make it work in agribusiness. And most importantly, let's get it right. Your number.
So Tech Shelter, again, on all social media platforms, anything social media, just type Tech Shelter, you find us. And again, our numbers are 055-2570-701, 055-2570-701, or 055-2570-704. So the last two numbers, 701 or 704. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for watching us today. It's been a privilege and a pleasure coming into your homes once again, and I hope you learned something. I hope you cause someone to watch this video again to, understand it and then ask questions, because it's when we ask the right questions that we are given the opportunity, or you get the information that we need to make critical decisions that will affect our lives. This program will be repeated on ETV on Sunday evening at 5 p.m. Do not forget to watch Reverend Okran on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. on either the YouTube channel springboard.com or Albert Okran channel, or on Facebook at Albert Okran. And most importantly, enjoy a fantastic week. We love you. You are special to us. And we really, really look forward to seeing you again next week. So until we meet again, you are loved, you are blessed, and enjoy a fantastic week. I love you. Good night.
Good night.
Turn